Hello and welcome back to our channel. If you're here to see our bus, well, there's no bus in this video. This video is the steps required to take a natural gas oven, stove, range, whatever you want to call it, and change it into a propane stove, LP stove. If you live in a tiny house, if you live in a bus, this is something that's probably a relevant video for you. If you live in a rural area, this is just old news for you. In this video, I cover all the steps required to convert a stove from natural gas to propane, but I do not cover the installation. Installation is code dependent. It's always going to require a shutoff valve behind the stove. It's always going to require you to install the anti-tip over child bracket, but I don't know what the code is in your area. I'm not covering the installation of the stove. It's just the conversion process of the stove. That's all my disclaimers. I might as well just get down to converting the stove. Supposedly I can do it with those 5 tools: 7/32 nut driver, Phillips screwdriver, adjustable wrench, small screwdriver, and 1/2-inch wrench. Those are the orifices that I'll be changing. And then there's some stickers they want you to change too. The first step that they want you to do is convert the regulator. That's mounted behind the warming drawer on the bottom. First I got to take that out, get to it, and then we'll that should be the easiest of all the switches. In the back there, you can see that red cap. The red cap and what they call a spud below it needs to be removed. Basically, the piece underneath that cap needs to be flipped around. It's probably the easiest way to say it. That side pushes further down on the spring. It'll change the regulator pressure. Step 1 done. Now that the regulator is set up for LP, I can start replacing these jets. Each jet has a different size orifice and comes on this handy card so you can make sure you put them in the right spot. They also have numbers on the jets that correspond to numbers on the full instructions if you were to mix them up. See if I can get to focus on the numbers. Now that I have all the packing off the top of the stove, I'll be able to replace the 5 jets for the 5 burners. This should be the easiest part of the whole job because everything is right here out in the open on the top. I'm putting the old ones in the card backwards so we know where they are and what they're from, but I also know they've been replaced versus haven't been replaced. The 5 easy ones are done. Now I get to do the 2, one for the broiler, one for the oven, and then I'll adjust the flames after it gets installed in the container. Probably, well, you don't know. For you it'll be a few minutes. For me it'll probably be 2, maybe 3 days. The first step is to get this door out of my way. Most oven doors, I think all oven doors, but I hate to say all because there's going to be some that don't come off that easy. But most oven doors come off quite easily. I'm going to show you how this one comes off. So you take this little piece here and you flip it forward. That will now create a stop. So when you close the door, it stops right there. Now let me set the camera down. I'll show you the next step. As you close the door from that 80% close mark to the 90% close mark, it lifts up the door and pulls the hinges out of place. As it does that, you can kind of wiggle the door towards you and up and just kind of lift the door out. It comes out easier than you would expect, yet always takes a little bit more finessing and wiggling than you'd kind of hope for, if that makes any sense. Now that there's nothing in my way, I gotta take the floor of the oven out to get to the burner. Now that the floor is out, I got this flame spreader needs to come off. That's held on by 2 screws in the front. Now I need to take the burner out. 1 screw in the front and 1 screw in the rear. There's what I'm aiming for. I can't believe they don't have you access it through the back. Now I have to put the burner back in, but I don't put the floor back in yet because I need to adjust the flame still. I'll just set the floor in place for now for moving it. And being it's only 2 screws, I might as well throw them in so I don't lose them. And that's all I can do today. And then once the gas is hooked up to it, I'll be able to adjust the flames and the low limits on the burners. The flames are adjusted here. I'll show you while it's still apart. This little screw you have to loosen, and then you twist this back and forth, and it changes how much air comes in there. And you go off the color and the look of the flame. And then for the low limits, if you take the knobs off the burners, you'll see there's a screw down in the bottom of there. Probably can't see it on the camera here. And that adjusts the low limits. All things I have to adjust and do after we get the gas turned on. Another quick disclaimer here. Make sure you install your stove up to code. Install the tip over bracket. Maybe you don't have a kid living in the house right now, but you may know someone who has a kid that comes over to your house. You may sell your house sooner than you wanted. Yes, the tip over bracket's a pain in the ass to install, but install it. It's better than having a child open up the oven door, stand on it to see what's in the pot, and pull a pot of hot water over, hot stew or whatever it is, on top of themselves. It comes with the bracket. Install the bracket. Oh yeah, and make sure you use the proper shut off and installation flexi hose and all that stuff too. That's I don't know if one's better than the other, but make sure whatever you use is up to code where you are. Yep, they all work. None of them go out when you quickly go to low. I did not have to adjust the low limits on this stove after I converted it. The idea of the low limit is if you have multiple burners on, you have a full gas supply needed, and you took one and holy cow, this is about to boil over, and quick turned it all the way to low. They want to make sure that that flame stays lit, because if that flame, a quick snap to low would cause it to flame out, yet it still have that gas coming out at low, and that could be dangerous. So what the idea is that when you quick snap any of them from full flame to low with all of them on, none of them should go out. None of these went out. I don't know how often this is something you have to adjust. I've never adjusted it in my life, but the adjustment is there. At the bottom of each of the little stems, if you take off the knob, take a small screwdriver, and you can turn it up or you can turn it down. Maybe if you have a stove and you're like, man, this low is always too high, could you adjust that to a little bit lower? Do they give more of a limit in a new stove than you need? Maybe this is something everybody should be adjusting on their stoves. I don't know. I've never adjusted it before. The stove we have in our bus does not have adjustments for the low limit. But if your stove does have adjustments for the low limit and you have a low you think is too high, maybe you can tweak that down and still not have it go out when you go with all the burners on. Take each one at a time and go from high to low as fast as you can and see if it goes out. I don't know. Maybe there's stove burners that people hate that just a quarter turn of a screw away from being a functioning burner. I don't know if I learned something here or not. A couple of wispy yellow things because there's still dirt in the line, but looks like what it's supposed to. With natural gas, your flame in your oven, both for the broiler up above and the oven down below, should be almost completely blue, like no yellow at all. Maybe a little bit of yellow in the tip, but should be mostly blue. With propane, you're going to get a little bit more yellow. You're going to get yellow usually just on the tips though. You don't want the whole flame to be yellow. When you've just installed new pipe and you have the pipe thread sealant on the threads, some of that gets in the line, all of that, when it comes through the lines, it gives you these pops of yellow. It's kind of hard to see around the pops of yellow to see where the real flame is right after you've hooked it up, but yellow on the tips is perfectly fine. With propane, you want most of it to be blue, and I didn't adjust either of these flame little adjusters either. Both of them are set where they were from the factory. I like the flames on both of them from the factory. Once you've adjusted the size of the jet, the flame should be about the same size. They want you to have the same size flame. This is the first time I've ever switched from natural gas to propane, but in my very limited sample size of one, I don't think you have to adjust this stuff that much. You have to put all the jets in, definitely. You're going to have to change the spot around on the regulator, but I bet the other adjustments really aren't needed that much. But that low limit, I'm going to look into that next time next time I'm living in a place with a real oven, a real stove. I'm going to see if I can turn any of those down beyond what they are, because low could always be a little lower when you're trying to simmer something for a long time. I hope you like this video. I hope this video helped you out, and thanks for watching this video. Until next time, peace.